I'm bringing you an exclusive interview in celebration of DST's 25th Anniversary Fan Fest. Today, Marketing Supervisor Zach Oat is talking to Production Manager Gabe Garcia and Prototype Painter Rachel Fredrickson, who are responsible for many of the great products coming out of Diamond Select Toys and Gentle Giant LTD. Take it away, Zach.
Hello, and welcome to our interview segment of the 2024 Fan Fest for Diamond Select Toys. It's our 25th anniversary, and we're talking to some of the artists and talent behind the work that we put out here at Diamond Select Toys and Gentle Giant Limited. And today we're going to be talking to Gabe Garcia, production manager in our Glendale office, and Rachel Fredrickson, prototype painter. Thank you both for joining us.
How you doing, guys? Hello.
So let's start off. Rachel, how did you transition into the world of prototype painting?
I actually answered a Craigslist ad for a different toy company, and I've been very fortunate in having a lot of really good mentors that have helped me progress as an artist and introduced me to the industry.
What is your artistic training background? Did you go to art school?
I did. I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art, and I got a bachelor's in fine art animation.
Gabriel, same question. How did you get to the position where you are now at Gentle Giant Limited?
I started working as a special effects makeup artist back in Mexico, my homeland. And when I decided to move to the United States, I got a job at Gentle Giant Studios as a traditional sculptor. And then from there, I evolved into project management. And then after that, I ended up Diamond Select.
What's it like working in the Glendale office? You both work in pretty close company. How many people work there, and what sort of things happen there? Gabe, you want to start off?
We are 7 employees here, and 2 painters, 1 photographer, and 2 mold shop technicians. Me, I'm kind of like the overall supervisor of the whole operation, and also the in-house sculptor.
What is one of your favorite DST or Gentle Giant Limited pieces that you've each worked on? Rachel, why don't you start off?
I mean, I love doing things that are nostalgic for me, like Admiral Akbar, the Gamorrean Guard L3D, a lot of the Leias. I love doing the Legolas and the Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. There was a really cool Demolic dice holder. I'm a D&D person, so
Excellent.
That was very fun.
Cool. How about you, Gabriel?
For me, I would have to go a little way back at my time at GG, the Gentle Giant Limited. I work on the Pan's Labyrinth line, and I helped with the design of the statues at the mini busts. And those also were some of my first digital projects that were put out.
How about complicated? What's your most complicated project you've worked on that you can think of? Rachel?
I would say the Cobb Vanth minibus was one of the most intricate. You're taking this full-scale object and person, and you're scaling it down to something quite small, and you're still trying to add in all of that weathering and all of that damage, and just the different textures in his shirt mixed with the textures of the metallics, with the paint later on top of the metallics, and that was a nice challenging project, a lot of fun to do.
Gabe, how about you?
We just recently did our War Machine action figure, and that required a lot of work. There were so many details that we have to watch out for, and that's one of our more complex projects so far.
Obviously, we create a lot of different kind of products at DST and GGLTD. And some of them are based on live action, and some of them are based on 2-dimensional artwork. Some of them we even try to recreate that 2-dimensional artwork in the paint applications. What would you say are the challenges that differentiate between those two types of creation? Rachel?
Definitely for when you're working from a 2D image, since you're recreating something completely from scratch on the back, and oftentimes I'll do the front, and then you kind of get into the rhythm of this is kind of how he does a line here, this is kind of how he does a brush stroke there, and then you have to go to the back and just make it up yourself. For doing more of a live action thing, we do often get really great studio photographies that are full turnarounds, and that's really helpful for just getting all of the details in there.
When you're sculpting and you only have a 2D concept, is hard because you have to figure out what is happening in the back and or the side. But that's when your artistic talent can step up. Like that's kind of like going back to the flexibility that you have on certain projects. That's when you can shine. And definitely it's easier when you have a full turns of your character because you don't have to guess what's going on in the back, and then you have a specific reference for your project. So it will be easier from 3D reference rather than 2D. But 2D allows you to be more creative.
Would you say that you both enjoy working on the creatures more than the humans, or about the same? What would you think?
Definitely about the same. It would be I think it would be much more boring if you were just doing humans or just doing aliens. I really like the balance here. I do love doing female portraits. It's one of my favorite things to do, but the aliens are just a lot more fun. You get a lot more freedom with just kind of, when you're doing a human, there's a bit more of a responsibility, especially when it's an actor and actress that you're creating, and you want to do them justice. You want to have the actress and actor comfortable with the way that they're being portrayed. But I mean, both very great.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of the same. Is a balance between those two. Sometimes I have to do some touch-ups on the portraits for the scopes that we make, and I love that challenge. It's always a good exercise to trying to sculpt a portrait of an actor or actress. And but at the same time, I enjoy doing monsters. I mean, I'm a monster guy, so yeah, creatures are also my thing.
What aspects of your job allow you the most flexibility or creativity? Even though you're trying to match the reference and the likeness of the characters, do you have a chance to be creative?
Well, definitely, because even when you are trying to copy a character or let's say clothes or anything, you always have the chance to imprint your own style. Like each sculptor has a complete different way to express themselves, and it doesn't matter if you're following a concept artwork, your own style will come through after the sculpt, and I think that's something that is what we bring in as a to the project as an artist.
Rachel, you'd agree?
Yeah, I probably feel the most creative when I get to play around with mimicking different materials in just paint. So, trying to get something that looks soft and like fabric, and then something that looks more hard. And, you can get some really interesting effects by just layering different dry brushes and washes and airbrushing, and being able to play around with those different techniques is when I get to express myself the best.
Rachel, what kind of paints do you use, if it's not a trade secret?
No.
I'm gonna have to kill you after this.
I mean, so we mostly just use acrylic paints. We use Nova Color primarily. We do use Tamiya's and like the high flow golden acrylics. We do some tints, various metallics, some chrome paints. It's less what we're using and more just getting it, does the paint dry quick enough for our production schedule? Does it do the job that we're trying to do, and does it do it consistently? We have to be able to reproduce this work a couple of times, and we need to be able to mix the Pantone numbers. So it's just whatever's the best and easiest for working with. And we need to go quickly. So that's why we can't use a lot of the probably fancier stuff that some of the hobbyists would use.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask about quantity next with you, Gabe. How many 3D printers do we have in the office for exporting prototypes, and how much material would you say we use?
Over here we have two large MJP 2500. Those are 3D printers from 3D Systems, and those are kind of like the top of the line. Um, we have also one frozen Mega 8K. That's an STL printer. Uh, Sometimes we use that for larger projects. And in regards of the material, we go through a lot of material because we print so many different projects through the year. So it's very considerable amount.
Each piece goes through an approval process, multiple layers of approvals. How do you handle critique to your work, and how does that affect your artistic growth?
It's just that if you don't get comments, if you don't get critiques, then you can't grow as an artist. So I actually really appreciate getting comments back, especially from the talent. Everyone has blind sides, and everyone kind of gets stuck in a rut. So I really like getting a comment back and realizing, oh yes, there's a better way to do something. And I think in my time here, I've really grown as an artist.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Sometimes you get so involved in a project that you stop seeing what you're working on. So you need a fresh set of eyes to give you pointers or some stuff that you might have missed. So it doesn't matter how experienced of an artist you are, there's always a room for improvement, and we are always open to receive this information and translate into the project.
What advice would you give to other artists and collectors who want to break into the industry?
Well, I guess that depends on the field. Like if you want to get into the sculpting part of it, definitely you need to learn digital sculpting, because at this point, I would say we don't use traditional sculpting at all. We still have one or two artists that we work with that they still do traditional, but in general, learn digital sculpting, and that's it. And then go to trade shows and try to networking over there, show your work, especially because you're gonna get sometimes the feedback from people in the field. Like that's a very helpful thing to do, show your work, and who knows, maybe you can get a job. I mean, that's what happened to me. That's how I got into this industry.
That's great. How about you, Rachel?
For painters, I would say, there's a lot of amazing artists out there. There's a lot of amazing painters out there. But to get into the toy industry, you really need to understand, the business and manufacturing aspects of what we're doing. There's a lot of people that could paint a beautiful sculpture, but we need to make multiple copies of it that are identical. Can you paint it multiple times the exact same way? Do you understand, how China is going to be reproducing it, and try to do not just the best job that you can do, but try to understand how China is going to be reproducing it and the best that they can do with it too. And, again, working with Pantone numbers, being able to document your process, being able to communicate how you painted something. This is kind of what's going to separate you from just being a good hobbyist to being in the industry.
Well, thank you again. It's been great talking to you both, and I really appreciate all the answers you gave for us. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to be talking to more talent behind our work in the upcoming days, and definitely check out our showcases to see what we have in the pipeline. All right, have a good one.